Kevin Weisman, I am so excited that we'll be seeing you here on Suits LA. It's a very buzzed about series, and I'm excited for you to be a part of it. Was it something that was offered to you? Did it come your way somehow?
No, I went in and auditioned. Aaron, and I know Steven and I were talking about this. He auditioned as well to play Ted, and Aaron loves to see people in the room, which is something that we haven't really done since pandemic strike. Everything's been on Zoom and or people do self tapes. So we got this call. Casting director Bonnie Zane, who I've known for 25 years, she cast me in things back when I was 7. No, I'm kidding. When I was in my 20s. Yeah, I'm making that joke now in terms of my age. I was been in this business, Jamie, for 30 years. And I've had the same agent for 30 years as well, which is crazy.
I know your
And we've,
career, your IMDb is like a list of like everything cool. It's
oh,
just consistent.
I'm lucky. Yes, lucky that I've been able to work on some amazing shows. And this one came along. Bonnie brought me in to meet Aaron and the other producer, Dave, Barda, and the director, Victoria Mahoney. And it was a great couple of scenes about this guy who was a Hollywood mucky muck producer, director. Somebody in the description was described as no one ever says no to him. Um, he's just at that level of his career where he calls the shots, and he's had quite a bit of success. So, what I was told, and this is in the description online, so I'm not spoiling anything. After a what was described in the breakdown, or you get this kind of thing of, hey, this is what the part is. It's a guy who, after a big premiere, he and his business partner they go back to his house in the Hollywood Hills, $20 million house. They're taking some substances, shooting guns into drinking, shooting guns into the hills, as we do in Hollywood. I don't even own a gun. And it's a very, they take some liberty with what the Hollywood people are like, although I'm sure there are some. And shooting guns into the hills, and my business partner ends up dead. And of course, I am the prime suspect. So my character's name is Lester Thompson, and he is accused of murder. And the season opens with Ted Black and Stuart Lane, the two attorneys, played by wonderful actors, um, Stephen Amell and Josh
McDermott.
McDermott. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful actors who are both my attorneys at the start of the season, and we go from there. And so the audition, I went in, and I come from the theater. I much prefer to be in the room working with other creative people, so we can kind of figure out what this character is about. Because you can make a choice as an actor, and do a self tape or a Zoom, which is always very strange. Um, but you're not really you want to kind of work with somebody to figure out where this guy is in his life, where he could go, what has happened, so you can kind of meet in the middle, bring your own ideas, but also get some feedback and have like a creative process. Because I think most actors are capable of doing a lot of different things, right? But you don't know necessarily the choice that you think is the best to tell this story, because you don't have the whole story.
And it could
You know what I
be, they
mean?
don't even have to be, and in the end, they could be fake lines too that you test with. So you don't,
That's a
you,
good
you could
point.
be being passionate about it this particular way, and then you find out it's a whole different character when you finally get the thing, when you finally get.
Which, yeah, I mean, everyone's in the same boat. Fortunately, you're right, but we're all kind of going. There are other actors, and I wasn't the only actor reading. There's other great actors who I who I know went in for the part, and I'm always, oh, he had seen me in a show he mentioned to answer your question called Goliath that I did with Billy Bob Thornton the first season. So I think he had thought of me maybe for this because of that. So I had fortunately, a little bit of an extra leg up in that he told me he was a big fan of that show. So that's always helpful.
I mean, you're a great dramatic actor, but you do have
Thank
these
you.
great comedic beats, though, as well in your career, though. Is that something that you go out for as well? Something that has a little bit of both to it these days? Or you just find whatever part speaks to you or your heart?
That's a good question. I mean, I went to theater school at UCLA, and I did theater in high school and middle school. And I have three sisters. I think I was trying to get my parents' attention. But yeah, it's a very large Jewish family, a lot of women. It's very hard to get your voice heard. So very loving, but very loud. Um, so I and then I went to New York and studied at Circle and Square. I always wanted to be a theater actor and did a lot of theater. I created a theater company here in LA with some colleagues, and we just did like interesting plays, whether it was Arthur Miller or Oscar Wilde or new plays. So I just wanted to do theater and great work, and was able to get an agent who I mentioned earlier, seeing me in a play when I was with my company when I was like 23 years old, which was crazy. And as his careers progressed, we progressed together. And but to answer your question, back in the 90s, like I started getting parts, like a little part on ER, and then a lot of sitcoms, which were very popular at the time, The Frasier and Just Shoot Me, and these shows that were Drew Carey that were sitcoms, which were kind of like theater because you're doing it in three camera in front of a live audience. So that started to kind of be my thing for a while. I was like, oh, I guess I'm a comic actor guy. And then fortunately, I met people like J.J. Abrams and Vince Gilligan who cast me in our drama shows where the characters, bless you, are a little are a little for those listening, there was a sneeze. Where the characters are a little maybe a little different, a little quirky, a little interesting, and like in life, we're all humorous in times of stress or I'm watching Gary Oldman in Slow Horses right now, and he's very funny, but it's a right. Oh, I can't hear you. Did you turn your mic
I
off?
was letting you talk, but
Oh,
I,
oh yeah, yeah. No, I was just saying, yeah, it's so funny, right?
he's so brilliant in this. His comedy beats are amazing, but when he's in those dramatic moments, he is Gary Oldman. He is
yeah,
what he does,
yeah.
as a dramatic actor.
And that's what I want to do as well. And I've been fortunate enough to play these parts, where it maybe I can bring humor to it, but for me, I try to go the Lucille Ball style. Like the humor comes from committing to something that is real for that person, as opposed to like the great comedians who do shows and they're just kind of, using the comedy chops to make people laugh. I, I always hope that the humor comes from a real situation, like Jean Smart in Hacks, like she is so funny, but like you believe it, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna name other people I love.
Just kidding.
Yeah,
What you're
yeah, yeah,
telling.
people, yeah, I mean, that's so good. But so this part though, it's interesting because there's not a lot of humor with Lester because he's facing a really very
Murder charges, so there's not really a bit to at that point. But maybe,
no,
some snarky moments could sneak in here or there when dealing with your attorneys.
definitely some snarky moments and some entitled moments, but as the season progresses, and I'm in like a 7 episode arc, which is like about 2/3 of the first season, or a little more than half, something like that. I think they're doing 13. There's definitely his situation continues to get more dire as the season goes on. That's all I can really say. But it's funny because at the table reads, the show has a lot of lightness and everybody's so great. And there's a lot of like flirting with the characters. And, it's got the Suits energy. And the actors they cast are all amazing. And their chemistry is all great. I think people are going to love it. But it's the first time like I'm in a show where I'm not asked to provide any humor in this hour show. You know what I mean? My guy, it's straight like he is the dramatic arc, which I'm really having fun with, or I had fun with. I just rap shooting, but it was really nice to not have to lean on any comedy chops on this one. But there's enough people doing that and in this show, and they're doing great. I think people are gonna really like it.
We talk about the teaser where we see you, throw in the picture frame.
Oh
Are
yeah,
there
yeah.
any specific moments, though, throughout the series that you're really proud of the work you put into? Maybe you can tease those, if not, maybe an episode to look out for, maybe a co-star you're with at the time.
Well, I do. I work a lot with Steven, and he's great. He's really found that duality between confidence and desperation to succeed, the balance really well. And there's some great flashbacks, which I'm not in, but I've seen some stuff where we kind of describes how he got to where he is, which I think he's doing a great job with. So a lot of my stuff is with him and with Troy Winbush, who plays Kevin. He's kind of the fixer, the guy who, the PI who goes out and finds all the secret little information. So most of my stuff is with them. And we all had a great dynamic. It was really nice working with them and finding that balance of, who's got the power, who's got it was shifts, throughout the season. But I would say the court stuff was really fun for me. Like towards the end, obviously the trial does happen and we get to kind of see the machinations of the legal system and the ups and downs for Lester in that whole. It's about the last two episodes I'm in are the court stuff, and also I have a wife in the show as well. I have some great stuff with her, which I had a lot of fun with. Yeah, I don't really want to say too much, but I didn't really work with a lot of the co-stars. Brian, it was mainly with Stephen and Troy and oh actually and Maggie Grace, who was wonderful to meet and work with. I've always been a fan of hers. So yeah, great people who all took it really seriously and at the same time had a lot of fun, you know. So yeah, I wish I could tell you more.
Well, Suits is an exceptional series, and ironically, it was gigantic before, but it somehow got bigger, uh, maybe even through the
The
pandemic with
pandemic, yeah,
Netflix and everything. So, what does it
it's
mean to you to
crazy.
be a part of such an iconic, an iteration of this iconic show?
I can't even really tell you the reaction that I get. Like I'm cool with my daughter's friends now. Uh, she goes to UC Santa Barbara. I mean, they know me from this and that or whatever, but the fact that I'm on Suits, they're like gonna have watch parties at the dorm. She's a freshman at UC Santa Barbara, and they're all excited. And their parents, like one of the friends' mothers, was like, "Oh my god, I love him from Alias," but now it's like I'm in a this generation show that they can get excited about. I think they all watched it during the pandemic. Yes, I don't. When it was originally on USA, I remember my mother loved it, and I would go visit my mother, and she always had it on. I'm like, oh, what's this show? Oh yeah, this is good. I like these actors. Blah blah blah. But I don't think it was like a buzzy show until the pandemic. They put it on Netflix, and it was the highest streamed show on Netflix of all time, or something crazy, which is crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, you mentioned it to people. People are like, "Oh my god, that's amazing." Oh, I've heard of that or whatever, which is very rare for network television that people get excited about network shows anymore, right? I mean, not that they don't, but like, remember This Is Us that had like a lot of buzz,
And that was like some years ago at this point. It's been that long since there's been
right?
such a buzzy series where people are constantly talking about it over their work off, throughout their offices or maybe with their friends and like have weekly watch parties and stuff like that. Suits is one of those shows where you are like,
It's a
all
lot of
over
pressure
social
though.
media talking about, well, thank
You
good.
know what I mean? It could go horribly wrong. I mean, I think this it's
I
good.
think
You
Aaron
know,
Porsche has it down so that there's no way you could wind up in flames. So, don't worry about that. At this
hope
point, I
so.
think that this
Yeah.
suits, there's, I mean, then you're worried, like there's only to go up from here. And then you get that worry where you're like, oh gosh, I did so well on Alias. I did
You know
so well
what?
now on Suits.
I'm gonna put on my lucky Dodger hat, and then that's gonna give us luck. Here it is, everybody. Go Dodgers. This is gonna bring us luck. The Dodgers. Yeah, I think you're right. In that Aaron Korsh is an amazing writer. He knows how to craft characters, but what people respond to is a mystery. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times I've been on, and I'm not saying this is going to happen with the show, but like I've done a pilot where they're like, oh my God, this is going to be the next Friends. And I was like, oh, was Friends canceled after 3 episodes? Because that's what just happened. You know what I mean? You don't know. You never know. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way to know. You never know
Hit or
what's gonna
miss.
hit. But I do think this has the built-in IP, as they say, and there are some tie-ins. I'm not spoiling anything by saying Gabriel is coming back for three
We know
episodes.
that, yes.
And I think people are excited about that. But like with Alias too, like we were doing, you mentioned Alias, we were doing it. I mean, I read the script. I was like, this is gonna be amazing. And then I was like, oh my God, Victor Garber, the great Victor Garber, Titanic and the Broadway. And well, look, he's right over there. And Ron Rifkin and Jennifer Garner, who ended up being like an absolute icon. But she's really good. She's jumping around, and you know. And then I went to a screening of the pilot. I remember, and I was like, my agent was with me, the guy who I mentioned, Dan Barron. What's up, Dan? He turned to me and he was like, this is going to be a big hit. So he knew right away just by, he was like, that's incredible. But it had the JJ Abrams magic. So, and it was a different time. Yeah. But this has got the Aaron Korsh magic. So hopefully, hopefully it'll work. What do I know? I'm just an actor, Jamie.
What are the other projects you've been busy working on? Do you have any theater projects coming out as well?
Yeah, actually, I just did this piece called October 7th in their own words, which was about the terrorist attack on October 7th, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with, which was written by a couple of wonderful non-Jewish Irish journalists who traveled to um, uh, Ofakim, which is a small border town down in southern Israel that was very much, unfortunately, a part of the attack on October 7th, and interviewed different people from, people at the kibbutz. I played this guy who is a real life guy who was an off duty police officer who ended up saving about 18 people. He just came out of his apartment a hero. And didn't most people in that situation you'd stay, you'd lock yourself in. He went out and he risked his own life. He got shot in the leg, and he's an absolute hero. So you meet all these people that were at the festival, survivors, family of people who didn't survive. But there's believe it or not, there's some humor in it. There's because it's people. That's how we deal with tragedy. We tell stories, and there's always humor, but not a lot of humor. But it's really about the kids that were at the festival, the families, everybody that was able to talk about it were interviewed, and these wonderful playwrights put it together. And we did a stage reading at the campus of UCLA on October 7th, and it was just one of the most moving experiences I've ever been a part of. You could hear a pin drop in that audience. It was packed. So we're actually going to we've got a great director I think lined up. I can't say who it is just yet because it's not confirmed, and we're reaching out to some wonderful actors to kind of do a little mini film version of it, and maybe stage it also. Are you in LA? Are you here in LA? Los
I'm in
Angeles?
Fort
Yeah.
Lauderdale, but I do have a reporter who's located there, who could, anytime come see you guys perform and help
Yeah.
promote. Certainly, we're here
I
to help
appreciate
promote
that.
any of the wonderful work you do on stage, off stage, especially for this
So we're gonna do
particular
that.
project. Our
Yeah,
hearts
thank
are
you.
there.
Yeah, so we're gonna restage it out here. So that was something I was kind of helping get off the ground. They did it in New York as well, which I wasn't part of, which I understand went well. But fortunately, that situation hopefully is resolving itself. And then I've got a couple other things. I work with my writing partner Kyle Gass, who's in the band Tenacious D. I don't know if you know Tenacious D, Jack Black. Yes, everybody knows the D of a certain age. We all know the D. Maybe the kids do too. But we're writing some things as well, and a couple other things that I don't want to talk about just yet. But yeah, I got a few other things I'm in the hopper, as they say. So yeah, keep an eye out. But Suits LA, February 23rd, right? Isn't that
Yep.
when it airs? And then we'll see. Lester may be back. He may be back. You never know. Maybe he goes to law school in his off time.
It's all right. Maybe he's like, I would approve you lawyers wrong after the defense either didn't work, or maybe he proves, been like, all right, I'm inspired. We'll tell a Hollywood lawyer tale based
Maybe
on
he
your
doesn't
life.
need to go to law school like in the
Yeah, he just
original Suits.
there.
That
Hey,
one dude didn't go.
February 20th. That's right. Mike Ross.
Mike
That's
Ross
right.
didn't go. Anyway, well, I hope people like it, and we'll see.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the incredible work you continue to do on our screens, Kevin?
Oh well, you're very sweet. I it's really very heartening the amount of people that say hello or tell me that something helped them by binging something during like a difficult time in their life. Sometimes you think, oh, entertainment, what are we doing? Like, is it that important? But I do think it really helps people storytelling is the oldest form of art of all time. Back to the cave dwellers. They wrote little pictures on the wall, and then people are like, "Hey, this is what happened." So I just think it's a human experience to share in stories, and I'm so thrilled that I get to be a part of that world. And I'll continue to do it till they throw me into a home or something. But even there, I'll do it for
All
the
right.
other for the
Have you spoken to your daughter about this? On how long she's
yeah
willing to let you act in a,
I,
or when she's thinking of putting you in a home?
well, she's studying medicine, so that's good.
Oh,
I could just be like, hey, yeah, exactly, shouldn't I live with her? Listen, this is years away. Why are we discussing this?
we're not going to jinx it, as they say, as they do in the
Yes, yes, my mother does that all the time.